Be my guest, be my guest, be my guest with Sean Boy Joe.
Hello and welcome back to the Be My Guest podcast channel with me, your boy, Sean Boy Joe. Have I got a treat for you today? Yes, my dear friends, not one, but 4 incredible guests who are joining me for a special reunion. 23 years on from its debut, I am joined by the cast of one of the BBC's most loved and treasured shows ever. And what is that, my friends? That is the Tweenies, of course. Joining me once again for a catch-up is the brains behind the show, its co-creator Ian Luckland and actor Bob Golding. And today they are joined alongside 2 of its other stars, Emma Weaver, who voiced Bella, and Colleen Daly, who voiced Fizz, and Izzles, may I say as well. Hello, people. Welcome to my podcast channel. Be my guest, everybody. It's a wonderful opportunity to speak to you this evening via Zoom, may I add, the first time I've done this. Look at them all looking fresh-faced, as Bob said before. Ian hasn't changed a bit.
Hello, Sean.
Literally stuck on a videotape from '93, and he looks exactly the same. There's no difference there. Right, so we've got Ian, just to clarify, for a wee while, as he would say, because he's off doing Panto very, very soon. He's actually in Panto season, doing everything from directing it, producing it, and starring in it. So we're going to start by talking a little bit about what Ian's doing in Panto, and Bob is also in Panto, as is Colleen. And me and Emma are just going to sit here thinking we wish we were in Panto, but we're not. So yes. So Ian, let's start off with you first, because I had a previous chat with you. So if people want to check that out, they'll get to see a little bit about Ian and his background. We know about that, but you're back doing Panto as you do every year this year. What are you starring in, and where is it going to be?
Well, we're doing Jack and the Beanstalk this year, and it's we're at the Belgrade Theatre in Coventry as usual. This I've been there for about 30 years, still doing it, and I'm very big in Coventry, you know.
Famous and, small town.
So yes, we're doing that, and we've started rehearsals. We're mid the midst of rehearsals at the moment, and we should be working till 8 o'clock this evening, but I'm not. So there we are.
You've joined me instead. I'm honoured.
I have.
There we go. So you've done that for 30 years, Ian.
Yes.
Yeah, producing and directing it, and starring in it.
Yes, I'm playing Dame as well, Sean.
You're playing Dame as well, as is Bob. You're also in Panto this year. You're going to tell not been doing it for as long as 30 years.
No, I'm not that old. I'm only 23. So I've only been doing it a couple of years. But no, I've in all seriousness, I've been doing it for 12 years. And this is my 13th, I think. And I'm at the Derngate, the Royal in Derngate in Northampton, playing. We're also doing Jack and the Beanstalk, actually, where I'm playing Dame Trot. Much like Ian. Yeah, so we can have a trot off.
There we go. There we go. Ian, it was really fascinating. When we spoke all those many moons ago, we spoke during the pandemic, and it was sort of at the height of it, really, when nobody had very much to do, and everybody was like, I can sort of do this. And what I wanted to ask you, Ian, we had quite a serious conversation about getting people back into the theatres, and at the time you weren't able to do that, and we were pleading for that to happen. Since then, obviously you've gone back into the theatre and you've done a lot more, and you've done Panto. So what is it like getting back out there and working once again with an audience? Are they trustworthy? Are they willing to come and see it now?
Yeah, that's a good question, really, because I wasn't sure this year. Last year we did a live Panto last year after the digital one we did the year before, and it was still very much everyone had to wear masks, everyone had to kind of social distance. We actually lost 10 days of the Panto because the cast got COVID. And it was just one of those. We weren't allowed any children on stage. We didn't have our junior chorus, and I wasn't allowed to get my stooge up from the audience. All that sort of stuff. So it was quite different last year. So I was looking forward to this year because we're back to normal.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but what worried me a bit was that will the audience come because of the the cost of living crisis. You know, because I mean, panto's not exactly a. I mean, it's a bit of a luxury, I suppose. You know, it's not a necessity. So, but you know, seemingly at the Belgrade, it's been the fastest selling panto ever.
Wow.
So they're very pleased with it, and so we're going to. People are having trouble getting tickets at the moment, even, which is really brilliant news, and I'm really pleased about that. I just hope COVID stays away.
Yes, I think we all do. Yeah, it's brilliant to see people are back out there. I mean, it's interesting you said about panto being an expensive thing. I always look at theatre and from the 60s and the 70s, where it was quite a prestigious thing to get dressed up and actually go out to the theatre. And nowadays it seems to be quite a common thing where if you can go, you can go, but nobody sort of takes care about planning to go now.
Well, you just need to you don't need to dress up anymore, do you? I
That's
mean,
it.
people just turn up with their jeans on and
Well, exactly. Yeah,
which is quite nice actually. I think that's nice. I like the idea that people can just, oh, let's go and have a night at the theatre, and they just go out and just have it. But sometimes people though think they're watching the telly.
right.
They still chat in the auditorium.
Yes, I often wonder about audiences sitting there thinking, you're actually here to produce a show now. You've got to be involved in it. Yeah, but it's interestingly, you said about what I would describe as the magic that was kind of lost the last couple of years because the kids couldn't be involved and you couldn't do what essentially makes a pantomime a pantomime. And
I always say to my casters, we wouldn't have the full cast until the first night because the audience are so crucial to the show.
Right, yeah. And Colleen, you're also in panto as well. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing this year.
So it's like a trio of Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
You're doing that as well.
And I've never been in the Jack and the Beanstalk. I mean, I think it's my 16th panto since I was sort of 14 when I did a couple at the Queen's Theatre in Hornchurch where I grew up, and it was a kid, one of the kids at the Repertory Theatre, which was great, a real privilege. I loved it, learning from the actors. But I've never done Jack and the Beanstalk. So yes, I'm playing a smaller character role of Queen of Merryday. Yeah, and I don't know how I'm going to play yet because I haven't got the script. I mean, we start in maybe 3 weeks, but so I don't know yet. I'm going to play it.
Which panto did you play with me? Where you played?
That was Cinderella. That was the first one I did at the Belgrade. Yeah, so I was Girl with Bucket, Sean. That's who I was. Elsie. I even got a name in the end. Girl with Bucket. And I'm not sure if I did it the same every performance. I think I played her different. I gave her a different accent, a different hairstyle.
But people kept doing things too. You putting mobile phones in the bucket and ringing it.
Yeah, there were all sorts. Yeah, and Ian, do you remember Ian?
Yeah.
Ian, he was always doing funny stuff. Yeah, he put rocks in the bucket once. I think I couldn't lift it from backstage. I went to pick it up.
Yeah.
So what are you actually doing right now, Ian, as we speak? Because you're in the middle of rehearsals, aren't you?
Yes. Ian is.
Is that Colleen?
Yeah. That's for you, Ian. Yeah.
Oh right. Oh yeah. We were doing. I'm blocking at the moment. I usually spend the first week blocking and just putting people in the right place, and then we go back and change it all. And we're learning the songs, and I also in the evenings. Craig and I usually go off and we work out our slapstick scene.
Mm-hmm. Do you love the process of actually being behind the scenes and actually putting everything together as well as being on stage?
Oh, I do. Oh, doing panto is just a great thing to do. I just because I mean, although I write the script, we do. The cast, still throw in ideas and we change things and we get things to work. It's very organic and it's just a great. You've got a nice cast, which I have. I've got a lovely cast this year, and everybody's joining in and having a laugh and it's lovely. It's absolutely lovely. I love
Very
the
refreshing to hear you say that. Very refreshing because a lot of actors sort of say, oh yes, I'm in panto this year, it's the first job I've had all year, but there's so many actors who say, yes, I love doing panto, it's really the only thing I really look forward to. So it's so refreshing to hear you say that. Bob, you wanted to say something before I ask you a question.
I was just going to point out that actually in 1997 Colleen and Ian and myself, we were in Panto together in Coventry, weren't we?
And Justin.
And Justin, yeah.
So you were together before you even knew it. There you go.
Which actually was where the whole Tweenie thing was starting to happen, if I remember rightly.
Right,
Yes,
okay.
because Will and I were dressed as ugly sisters in the dressing room when we phoned the BBC and asked to be included in the pitch.
Include us.
Yeah, we were actually dressed as ugly sisters.
So funny.
And I was on the phone and I said, hi. Any chance of being included in this pitch? We didn't think we'd get it for a minute. But, we've been working with these fantastic people like Colleen and Bob and Justin and all that sort of thing. And it was just obvious that remember, I think it was when we were doing Fun Song Factory afterwards, we got the acceptance, I think. And we just said, we know who we're going to get to do.
Oh, how lucky were we? I mean, we were right place, right time.
So lovely to have worked with you, Just, and take you on, and everybody it was such a lovely team, wasn't it?
Yeah, Justin and I did our audition tapes. We did like cassette tapes.
Yes.
And whilst we were doing Panto, we shared a little house on Swan Lane there in Coventry, and we had an old tape recorder that we just sat down with a microphone and did our audition tapes for Tweenies on. I remember it now, and their voices were completely different from where we ended up. They were just wacky voices that we were doing, but yeah. C90s,
C90 tape.
I did mine about 11 o'clock at night with Steve, the sound engineer.
Yeah.
Back at the Belgrade. I said, "Oh, no, I'm going to do this tape. I've got to," and he said, "Oh, well, I'm going to have a drink after. So after the show, come back later." And we'll record it. Yeah.
So you were half cut when you did your voice tape, basically. That explains a lot. That explains an awful lot.
I remember you saying to me, Ian, in our podcast, that you had a certain other television program to thank for the fact that the Tweenies was even thought about in the first place, and that was the Teletubbies.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. Well, the Teletubbies made so much money for the BBC that they had money to spare, plus the fact Teletubbies was supposed to go from 3 to 5 year olds, and when it got on screen, everybody saw it was obvious to everyone it was only going to go up to about 2.5. So the BBC had a bit of spare money, and they thought, well, we're going to need a program to cover the 3 to 5. And that's how that we're looking for a program to cover that slot. Thank goodness Teletubbies didn't fulfill the brief.
But yeah, I think the Tweenies did sort of fit that age bracket, but then it sort of went beyond that and sort of resonated with older kids as well. Ian, did you expect that?
No, not really. I mean, although with the cast that we had, and with Bob and Colleen and Justin, everybody, they were just so creative, and just the warmth coming from the characters and the voices. It meant that with their ability, that we actually captured a lot of the parents as well. We captured, the parents enjoyed watching Tweenies with the children. It wasn't a task for them because, some of it was real kind of little tongue-in-cheek stuff, and it was just it hit so many levels, and that's really because of the people we had in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting because I remember you saying a similar thing about the Fun Song Factory, that the main reason you created that is because you wanted parents to be able to teach children sign language and teach them these movements in traditional songs.
That's right. Well, the traditional songs and the actual were lost, and young parents were coming through and really not knowing them. So it was important to do that. And we were only going to do one tape, but we ended up doing 9 on Song Factories.
Incredibly. And then obviously the Tweenies came along soon after that because of your track record. But you've had a longevity in kids television. And one of the things that really resonated with me is that since I spoke to you, I don't think I've spoken to anybody besides, maybe even Bob was involved, but who hasn't been involved in Play School. I mean, I even spoke to an Australian actor called Nick Oplowski, who was also in the Australian version. And I'm thinking, is there anybody that hasn't been involved in Play School? And you are the only person who said that that job was blooming difficult.
Yeah, it was. I found it really hard, especially at the beginning, you know, when you were doing 5 half-hour programs at a time, and you only had 1 day's rehearsal in the rehearsal. You had half a day to go through all the songs, and that was sometimes 15 songs. Wow. Because it was all live. It was a live band in the studio, and there's no auto cue. And you sometimes had 2 or 3 cameras to stories to camera, which were to camera, and you had to know them. And there was no auto cue, as I say, and you had to. It was just the hardest thing was that, you know, once you had rehearsed it all day, you just wanted to record it, and you'd only 40 minutes to record a 30-minute program, and 10 minutes left because they had to go down a telephone line or something. And you don't, so you had 10 minutes at the end to sort something out if it went drastically wrong. Incredible. So it was recorded as live, you know, and you wanted, once you had done that camera rehearsal, you wanted to just do it, but no, everyone had to have an evening break.
Right.
So then you after that you went and had a break, and then you come back and you were sitting in the makeup, and then they come in and give you all these notes like that second item's too long, could you just cut that bit, or we need a little bit more on that bit, could you add a little bit there as you go along, or miss that verse out, could you? And then you went on the studio floor and you had to remember all these notes, and I honestly say it was the hardest thing I ever did.
Just can't imagine it nowadays, can you?
No.
Nothing like that. But I mean, I guess in a way that it came off much better because it was very authentic, I suppose, back then.
Yeah, absolutely. It did feel live.
yeah, absolutely. And
all in a pair of tight flares as well, which was commendable.
Goodness me, yes. I've got those pictures, Ian. I want to talk about this little book that I've got here, Ian, because for the others that don't know Colleen and Emma, when I do a podcast, I ask my guests about what they used to watch when they were younger, and this little character here called Mr. Pastry is one that Ian used to watch. And I've got a little, well, not a funny story, but it's a story that after I did the podcast, he said, "Oh, Sean, you must go back and watch Mr. Pastry." And I said, "I will do." So I went and watched Mr. Pastry. And then the following week, I went on a walk with a friend of mine, and we came across an antiques fair. And that is exactly where I found this book, a matter of afterwards. And I thought, well, this really reminds me of Ian and Mr. Pastry. And I went online and I ordered myself a Mr. Pastry DVD, and now I am absolutely hooked on Mr. Pastry. I am thinking, move aside, Mr. Bean. Mr. Pastry was way before you.
Of course, now he runs Greg's.
There we go. Boom, boom. Well done. So I'm going to ask Emma and Colleen. Let's ask Emma. What were you watching when you were younger? What did you grow up watching as a wee one?
It was about a squirrel. I can't remember his name. A squirrel, but I can't remember the squirrel.
Secret Squirrel. Is it Secret Squirrel?
Maybe. It was about a squirrel. It was on every single day, but yeah, that was it.
Okay. That was it. Okay.
That was it.
That was about a squirrel, and that was it. But I don't know what.
Oh God, I can't remember.
Emma, were you looking out of the window? Was it just literally a squirrel?
We were on that farm looking at a squirrel. Oh dear.
It was there every morning, and I remember. Okay, we'll endeavour to have a look up and see what that is all about. Squirrel. Was it a cartoon or an animation?
No, I can't remember.
Right. Okay.
I will think.
We'll think. Let's ask Colleen. Maybe Colleen will have some more knowledge about what she used to watch.
Well, I love Rainbow. I love Rainbow. And I think that's probably when I first started, because they were such character voices.
Yeah.
You know, Zippy and George, you know, so I think probably that really appealed to me, and was, you know, pretending to be them myself, probably impersonating them. I love Bungle. He was so big and cuddly, and I just loved him. And also Bagpuss. I loved Bagpuss.
Oh yeah.
I loved the little mice on the mice or mice organ.
Mice, little mice.
You know, I wanted to be Madeline, the rag doll, because she was so dainty and pretty and gorgeous, and I just loved it. I loved the idea of it. You know, the lost things that were found. I'm still a hoarder to this day because of Bagpuss. I blame Bagpuss.
I'm surprised they only made a handful of episodes of that. I thought it would have lasted a lot longer, but they repeated it constantly.
And you know, the music, dun 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 dun. I just still remember the theme tune.
Yeah. Oh, I feel all nostalgic now, wanting to watch Bagpuss. No, but no, it's wonderful hearing all your stories, and I will go back and watch Bagpuss.
Up to that then later on, one of my first jobs was doing a tour of Rainbow Days, which was, because it had come back on television with Dale Superbill, who's actually one of my neighbours now, and he was the presenter on Rainbow, and Liz Kitchen. That's where I met Liz Kitchen, because she did the music
for the Tweenies,
and I auditioned for Liz for that part. That I had, the nursery rhyme characters, Rainbow Days in nursery rhyme, and you know, the characters were there, and I got to meet Rod, Jane, and Freddie, and I was starstruck. You know, I mean, I was in my early 20s, and I did meet Ronnie LaDrew came along. I was like, as younger actors are that I've done panto with, who go, oh, I mean, one girl, she only read the programme right towards the end of the run. She came and said, I can't talk to you. I've just found out your fizz. And I've been doing the run for 4 weeks. You know, I was the same meeting Ronnie LaDrew. I just was, oh my God, you're zippy.
Yeah. It's exactly how I felt. I mean, an afternoon with him.
Heroes.
Stories that he could tell. And hello to your lovely daughter there, Bob. I hope she enjoyed the DVDs.
She's not mine. There's a kid wandering around here. I don't know who she is.
That's it, right? Yeah,
that was Nella. She had to say goodnight. Sorry.
Oh, bless her, bless her. Right, and also we must say, you know, you mentioned Rod, Jane, and Freddie there. We must say we send all our condolences to Jane and Rod, of course. Yeah, very, very tragic. But anyhow, let's move on to talk about what everybody wants to talk about, and that is the Tweenies, of course. And we mentioned that. And Bob's thinking, what are the Tweenies? Do I know them?
No, I do remember them. I definitely do remember.
Just a little bit.
It was either Tweenies or Bod for me.
Well, go ahead then, Bob. Tell us what you were watching then when you were younger.
That's all I need to do.
There you go. There you go. Right. So
the brilliant Derek Griffiths. Anyway, so yeah.
Derek Griffiths, wonderful.
Brilliant. Wonderful artist. Right, Ian, let's start with you as the co-creator. You mentioned how the Tweenies began, and if you want to hear more about that, then you can listen to our podcast after this one. It's a real good listen. Talk to us about the early days of the Tweenies. We spoke about how it came about, but your involvement with it, and obviously working with Will in your production company.
Yeah, Will and I had been working together for some time. Yeah, because we had been producing play days, and we had done panto before that, and we had done Fun Song Factory and all sorts of things. So we'd written quite a few things together. And then
you produced play days as well. I didn't know that.
Sorry,
you produced play days as well. I didn't know that.
Yes, I produced 3 of the play days programs: Wybird Stop, Roundabout Stop, and Poppy Stop.
Right.
And so we as I say, we were dressed as ugly sisters when we asked to get put into the
Lucky it wasn't FaceTime.
No, it wasn't. That's right. And
back then.
We never really expected to get it. We thought they might offer us something else, you know, because you know, if they liked what we had done. We never expected for a minute to get it. But we got right down to the last 2, and then we got it and couldn't believe it. And
Excuse me.
I thought Doodles was back in the room then.
Are you all right, Emma?
Emma hasn't had her dinner, so she left her stomach.
Very good.
Yeah. So, but we had 260 programs to write, because on the day that we got it, they doubled it. We were supposed to be doing 130, but they doubled it to 260 on that day. So we had that to do, and we didn't have. There was only 4 of us, but they couldn't all get into our office at the same time, and this. So we had to find somewhere to do it. It was it was just it was mad. It was really mad. So we decided to go to Elstree, and we managed to get one of the stages there and set it up. So it was good. In the early days, it was a bit mayhem because we had promised the BBC all sorts of things. We'd done this video. We did it. Were you involved in that when we did it? We did for a pitch. We did a video and we got someone to make a tweenie.
Yeah, we did Bohemian Rhapsody, didn't we?
Yeah. But we got this tweenie head made, and this character. We got a Jake made basically by someone else, and it was awful. It looked like a Burns victim, and
it's on my. People are going to. I'm not watching that now. I'm like,
so I don't know how, and we put this pitch in for the Tweenies, but we got it in the end, however, and of course we promised the BBC, all we could do all these things, we could get animatronics going and people, someone's head inside it at the same time, and we promised them, and so we had to find somebody that could do it. And we tracked down Neil Scanlon, who had done Babe in the City, the film. And he said, he looked at the pitch and he said, this is impossible. He says, and that's why I'm going to do it. So he did it. All these things came together, and the animatronics eventually came together. We had to redo all that, how they were done and all the rest of it. There's lots and lots of trial and error. And that's why it was so important to have the team we had, Sean. The team was so patient and so good and putting ideas in, and it all came together in the end. Thank you. Because we had to make 70 programs, I think it was, before it went on air, because they wanted to show them quite close together. So we'd got 70 of them to make. We didn't know whether it was going to work. And I remember the commissioning editor of the BBC saying to me, Ian, this has got to work.
No pressure.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant. It worked so well.
Yeah, that certainly come off on screen. Emma, you have a very interesting story as to how you took over the role of Betty, because obviously Ian mentioned Sally there, who also made the costumes as well as voicing her in the first series. Tell us a little bit about the story of how you were late at night re-recording the Tweenies theme.
Well, it changed my life, and I'll be forever grateful to Telltale and Ian and Will for changing my life. And I was just a jobbing actress, and I auditioned and didn't get the job 7 times, Ian. And
really?
Yeah. And I remember my final audition being at the studio, and another lady, I can't remember her name, and myself, and I thought, I want this job so badly. And then I got home and my agent rang and said they don't want you. I was like, great. So my boyfriend at the time worked for Radio 1, and I went and bought a video from Woolworths, and he took, it sounds really rude, but she's an incredibly lovely lady, so I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but took Sally's voice off of the video and put mine on, and then thank God you changed your mind, Ian. So
I never thought it was
story.
Thank God, so
9 times.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
what a story.
Well, it happens, it's like that lottery. When I tell the story, it really is that scratch card, and it really was that lottery win, because it changed my life.
Do you still have that videotape?
No.
No. Oh.
No, because I sent it off, because it's probably in a Telltale archive somewhere.
Telltale archive somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Sean, can I ask Emma something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Emma.
Yeah.
I want to ask you something. Is this you?
Can't hear.
Can hardly hear that, Ian.
Can't hear it, mate.
What is it you've got there, Ian? Explain to us.
It's a little car, and it's got a voice in it. It belongs to my granddaughter, and when she got it, I thought, that's it. That is Emma. That is definitely Emma that's doing all that singing.
It might be. The one I did had flashing eyes.
It just flashed.
Yeah.
But I thought it was going to be
flashing eye.
But I thought it was going to be pink.
Where would I hold it to the computer, Sean, to let you hear it?
Oh, I don't know about a toy like that. What have we come to? Ian's trying to find out whether Emma did a voice.
It's just I've been thinking for ages, Sean. And I said that's definitely Emma.
It might be, but I thought it was going to be pink.
No, it's a little ambulance, you see.
No, it's not a bus. It's we can wish.
Well, I think they got me quite cheap because they were going to use all different voices for a lot of stuff.
Brilliant. I don't know where we've come to, but we've ended up talking about toys and things.
Oh, dear.
Just how it goes when you put 4 people together and seen each other for 10 years. It's just brilliant, but madness. So yeah, so we were talking, Emma, you were talking about you coming into the Tweenies, and I was asking you about how you got the role, and it was because you did the dub over on the Tweenies theme song.
Basically lied and cheated my way in, I think. It was the best way forward. Oh dear.
Same as the rest of us, love.
Yeah.
It's inspired me for future work, to tell you the truth.
Inspired
But,
us, you're giving us all the tricks.
Dear, oh dear.
But anyway, so it must have been, the people I've spoken to have always said it's a little bit daunting coming in, when you're trying to be a character that I guess was as well established, because as Ian said, they made 80 episodes initially before it even went out. So what was it like joining the other cast? How, welcoming were they as what you would call a family now?
I think you couldn't get nicer people. You couldn't get more experienced people. I remember on my first day, Sally Preisig saying to me, come with me, we're going to have a cup of coffee. And she just was the most incredibly lovely, warm, and she'd made me this doll. She'd made me a prototype of Bella, and she'd written me a letter. And who does that? Who is kind to a person that's coming in and effectively taken over? And also coming into, I wasn't and I'm still not as experienced as the other 3, but everybody helped me in some way. And they probably don't even know this, but I couldn't sing a harmony for Love Nor Money. But every single time on a Monday, we'd be with Liz or Graham and Bob. You sang my harmony lines every single time, and I had this old tape player. And if you hadn't done that, I'd have just been a wreck. And you didn't have to do it, but you did, and I'll never be so grateful. And Justin taught me to animatronic. I didn't know anything about animatronics. I still can't claim to know a great deal, but he taught me everything. And even on their week off, he came in every single day from 8 o'clock to 8 at night and taught me how to animatronic. And Colleen, you were like the sister that I never had, and just engulfed me and taught me everything that I needed to know about. This is an interior, this is an exterior, this is a shot, this is where you go here, and taught me to be, I think probably because maybe I'm not the most confident of people, taught me that, yeah, you can interject, yeah, you can do this. So I think probably I learned more from the 3 actors, without me getting emotional, than I probably learned in drama school, to be honest. And that's what I think gave me confidence and it enabled me to work after Tweenies, because I learned so much from these 3 actors. And I was saying, Bob, the other day to Sean, I sat and watched you. I never came back because a bit shy, but I sat and watched you. It is Eric Morecambe, and I just sat there thinking, my God, I have watched this man, and I've been lucky enough to work with this man. The talent, and I think I was so shocked and in awe of your talent, I was too shy to come backstage, which is why I sent a note with something to say, an ice cream to say, please, well done, Bobby, it was amazing. But and it's the same. I went to see Colleen in Pato, and you just, and I also went to see Colleen. I want to say the Landor Theatre in London, and Colleen, Sean, was like, well, Colleen should have been Fontaine. I'm sure Bob and Ian would agree with me. She should have been on that barricade. And I remember sitting there watching this show, I can't tell you the name, sorry, at the Landor pub thinking, oh my God, I've worked with this woman. Do you know what I mean? It's just, you can't, the talent, but I think the biggest thing for me, it radiated onto me. They gave me confidence to believe in myself. And it was just like, being in a family. And I wish, Sean, when we went to do I'm sure you'll get on to talk about the pop songs and everything.
Yeah.
These three were so experienced singers, and they just, this is what you do, Emma. It's and I'd be like, okay, and they just did it, and they just taught. They didn't realise that they were teaching, I think, at the time, and that I'll be forever grateful for.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's
No, it's
it's, Emma, how much fun, and Bob, was that going to Psalm Studios in Notting Hill and recording the albums?
Yeah.
We recorded. I don't know. Did we say this before, Sean? That we recorded. I think it was the first Christmas one. We recorded at George Michael's studio.
Yes.
And he was there every day with his dogs, wasn't he? Do you remember?
Yeah.
We'd come in and say, "Hi, George," and he'd go, "Hi, Tweenies," and you know.
And we were in the canteen, and the lady was going, "Do you want 2 eggs? Do you want them turned over, George?" And he was, "Oh yeah, thanks." Yeah, and I was thinking,
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was a special time.
We
But
walked his dogs, didn't we, Carl?
yeah.
I think we
But it was so
walked his
lovely,
dogs.
so gorgeous. You saying all that, Emma, because I just remember thinking at the time how daunting it must have been for you to walk into that room, because there wasn't like a handful of us. There was, how many on the team, Ian? There must have been 50 or 60 people in the room. Especially on recording days and filming days, it was a huge crew, and it took us a few weeks to work out who all these people were, who also rotated. So you wouldn't have the same cameraman on every show, you wouldn't have the same director on every show, you wouldn't have the same writer on every show, and people would come in and out, and so it's constantly changing. And I remember when you joined Emma thinking, gosh, this must be a bit like the first day at school, a big school, you know.
It was, but I had you three. As two big brothers, and I'm going to include Sinead, if that's all right. Two big brothers, two big sisters, who just engulfed me and taught me. You couldn't have wished for a better upbringing, I think.
Brilliant. Emma, just explain to our viewers who Sinead is.
Sinead is a lovely Irish lady who did the voice of Judy, and she was incredibly lovely.
Brilliant. I mean, it was so lovely just to hear you speak so highly of everybody. What a emotional speech. I feel that we need to dig Scylla up from the grave now and get her on Surprise, Surprise again. Just a wonderful speech. It was lovely. And it has been so long as well, you know, and it's lovely that you're all able to be in a room together. And one thing that it made me a bit emotional when I was speaking to Emma, guys, is that she said she'd longed for so long to just have you all around the dinner table, you know, and just chat to you all. And I thought, well, I'm making this happen now.
Oh, it's brilliant! It's brilliant. It is great. Great.
Have you got the wine list?
Yes, mates rates. There we go. So let's. You mentioned Bob, about, you know, having people coming in and out, and Ian was in the podcast I did with him. He was very stringent in saying that they were very careful with the team of writers and extremely careful with the directors, so there was no contradiction between episodes. So what was it like working with so many different writers and directors?
Well, I mean, it was part of the conveyor belt that it was quite an assault on all of us. I don't think any of us really knew the beast that we were building, you know, that was created when we first started. As Ian was saying, you know, we were kind of making it up as we were going along, those first few episodes especially. And if you listen to the, you know, series one, I heard some recently actually, and just went, wow, I could tell straight away that it was an early one, because we're all so careful. We weren't quite free enough with the characters yet. We were still evolving, you know, and I think that that trickled into every department. I mean, Colleen was saying about the animatronics. We were learning a new skill. You know, Emma was learning a bit later than us, but we all had to do that process of learning. I mean, I'd never puppeteered before, let alone done animatronics. And this system that we had called the PAC system, Performance Animatronic Control, if I remember rightly, they were huge bits of really expensive kit that you put your hands in. There were gloves and there were wheels at the end of your fingers, and then there was a recording button with your foot, and then your thumb had to do the jaw. And I mean, it was just. Then we had 3-4 weeks before we started to film. So maybe it was 4 or 5 weeks, but I remember it being quite quick.
And I guess you had more leeway then, Bob, as you were telling me before, to sort of develop the characters and the friendships and the character that you developed between Jake, and you were able to ad lib, you know, hiya mate, how you doing, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the scripts were fairly, you know, formulaic in that we didn't go off. We didn't suddenly go, hey, let's just improvise this scene. It was more familiarity, and I mean, in the end, we were saying to directors that were coming in, oh, we're just going to add a couple of words here and that, and which all got checked through, and obviously made sure it was okay. But we trusted and knew the characters as much as they trusted us as well. And of course, it wasn't just us; it was the skins which were vital to it. As we were rehearsing all the music, and I'm sure Ian's gone through this before, but when we were doing the music and looking at the script, they were blocking their scenes, which they then show to us out of costume, just in normal civvies.
Right. Okay.
And then we'd record it, watching them do the movements, not speaking after they'd done it when they speak. So there was 2 actors for every character, which at the beginning was really weird and quite confusing, because I called it the actor factor, in that there were 2 of us playing the same role, so we're each of us quite protective about what we were creating, but also had to be compliant to the other. And that was a really interesting process, and there was a few bumps along the way, but you had to have that to get the lovely rounded character that we all ended up with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they had just as much right over that character, and I remember Jenny, you know, brilliant Jenny, who was in, you know, who was Fizz. You know, would say, oh, you know, she gets really cross there. You know, Fizz gets really cross there. And when she's tugging, trying to get the doll off Bella, you know, she really gets cross, you know, and I would say, oh, right, okay, you know, and then, you know, I would do it and it would be fine. Or other times Jenny would say, oh, can you put a little, you know, I want to do a stamp there, or I want to do a twirl. So can you put a little wee in there or something? So it was really a 2-way process, wasn't it? You know, I mean, 2 people.
Yeah.
I don't think anything had been done like that before, had it, Ian? It was a first for TV.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that type of animatronics had never been used on television before.
Yeah, it's interesting, Colleen. You were talking about the animatronics. How was, you know, you said the process, you know, was an interesting one, but how did you find it? Because, you know, most of the people I've spoken to have said, well, actually, we don't have that trouble because we're in the costumes, the hot, sweaty costumes, and doing the voices as well. So it must have been quite an unusual process to go through.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. I mean, you know, your motor skills were really tested as well. You do, you know, a few things at the same time, like Bob said, you know, hitting a pedal. And I actually got repetitive strain injury. I do remember, Bob. I got it in my elephant hand. My elephant hand, where I was, you know, my tendons were going like this. My hand actually was swollen, and I was really worried, and I didn't want Ian to know. I thought I don't want to lose my job.
That's why now, I mean, where there's a blame, there's a claim.
It took Emma 7 attempts to actually get Ian on board. So yeah,
I kept putting my hand in the bucket that, you know, the hands were in. Remember, they put their hands and put them in a bucket. So when we finished the take, I ran down towards the door where the buckets were and dunked my hand in the bucket to try and take the swelling down.
I remember. Yeah. I mean, we never stopped feeling lucky, though, did we? We always felt very lucky in the job doing it.
Very lucky. I wanted to do it to the best of our ability, you know. I wanted to. So, I remember that elephant hand. Justin would go, there's Colleen with her elephant hand. In fact, at some point, I think Justin had to do that left hand because my fingers wouldn't kind of bend and stretch anymore for a little while.
Yeah.
I just worked through the pain and then.
Right. You were
and then the puppets
in the
well.
early days as well, weren't you, Bob? When you did the outside scenes with the Tweenies.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. I mean, none of us were puppeteers apart from Sally. Obviously, she was like the queen of puppeteers, but she was talking about reverse scan monitoring, and I had no idea what this was, you know. And we were all kind of nodding our heads, trying not to look like a fool, but and then listening to every word that Sally would say about it. But we had these puppets that were quite heavy, and we had to, you know, sit with our arm on these puppets, and the blood would drain from our arms. And the scenes were quite short, but you know, Colleen and I on location, I remember we'd be hearing the voices because some of them times it was playback, or we'd be doing it, but our faces would be going,
Yeah.
They didn't.
Especially if
Really?
you like little speckled frogs. By 3, this was on
Yeah.
going like this. And I could see her in the monitor. And I was doing everything I could.
I do remember watching those things, thinking as a child, why have they shrunk? And somehow we can't see their legs. They just look very, very odd. Yeah. So
very odd. We cut them in the end. They didn't. We didn't really do what we need.
right.
It didn't work properly. We cut them in. Yeah.
And that's
How many?
for coming in later.
That was the first series, I think. But did we? How many series in total did we do, Ian? I've lost count. I can't.
Well, there was basically 3 lots of 130. We did the first 130, and then we knew it another 130, and then they were giving us third 130, which made 390. And the commissioning editor was going to retire, and Nigel was going to come in at that point and take over. He says, "I'm going to leave it to Nigel to give you your fourth 130." I said, "That's fine." But when he came in, he didn't give us it. So we never did anymore. They said, "No, we've got enough 390." So, but we were expecting another bunch. Yeah, we didn't really break them down into series. Really, they were just continuous. Really.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
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 So maybe the BBC called a section of them a series, because I got confused by that, because somewhere it's written.
We never ever called them series 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at all.
But I think now they are broken up into sections or series, as Bob said. Yeah.
Yeah. That must have been the BBC that did that, I think.
Right.
Did we do some specials? Did we go in a nighttime? What did we do? A jungle in a nighttime? Did we?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Did
Like-
we?
Did we?
Like 40, was it a long version, like a 40-minute version or something?
Yeah, it was. What have I got? Nighttime Magic and Jungle Adventure.
Yeah.
There we go. My knowledge.
I know. Yeah, we had the bedrooms built, didn't we? We saw
Yeah.
the
That's
design-
right.
Yeah,
That
got the
was
bedroom
lovely because the designers
And you
spoke to
were a
us
tiger.
about what do you think they would have in their bedrooms,
Yeah.
Your character, what would they have in there? And we
Yeah.
really got an input.
Colin, we haven't touched upon the other character that you played that came along later in the series, and that was Izzles.
Oh yeah, Izzles. It was originally called Twizzles, Ian.
Sizzles.
No.
Right.
So that came about. I was lucky, very lucky I've got to have the chance to do another character. But originally we had this original name, and I think we've recorded not that many episodes, maybe 4 or 5 episodes.
Is it not called Squiggles?
Twizzles.
I thought, yeah. That's what we called them before, Squiggles, yeah.
Yeah.
Squiggles.
It's called Squiggles. There's another character called Squiggles, so we had to change it.
And then he said, "No, you can't have it. You can't have that."
Right. It's a very brave move to bring another character into it because, as Ian mentioned in the podcast before, there was originally going to be another Tweenie character added to the mix, and then they considered it later, but then decided to go with the dog instead.
Yeah, they wanted another dog because they thought it'd sell more toys. We didn't want another toy. We wanted another character. We wanted to bring Sid in.
Right. Okay.
Sid was the fifth Tweenie that got cut at the beginning.
Little wee shy person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pete Best, the Pete Best of the Tweenies.
Yeah.
Yes. He was very happy working at McDonald's though.
Right, so we're going to come on to before we sort of get to the end of stuff. We've got to do a little Tweenies quiz soon, and I'm going to pit you against each other, and I will, tell you more about that very soon. Bob's horrified. I won't be any good at it. I will say that. But Emma mentioned, you mentioned earlier a little bit about the music that the Tweenies were involved with, and my goodness, I was saying to Colleen yesterday in our pre-chat that little did I suppose anybody know that the Tweenies would not just become a television show, but the actual characters would become superstars, celebrities. They would be musical artists.
Can I just say first about the original songs that were in the programs were, written by Liz Kitchen originally, Graham Pike, and Barry Bignold came along as well. Yeah. And Liz Kitchen is also a neighbour of mine, and I will just say, she's a fantastic musician, and I saw her recently in a gig for Ghosts at the Soho Theatre, and she's fantastic in it because she's using all her musician skills, playing loads of colourful characters. It's still on for another 2 weeks, so if you get to see it, like
wow.
for Ghosts
There
and
we
the
go.
Soho Theatre.
And that is exactly why the songs became so iconic. And Ian will know this because of Liz herself, because a lot of them came from Ian's previous creation, the Fun Song Factory, which then sort of led into the Tweenies. So while we were watching that, we were watching the Tweenies sing exactly the same songs, and they sort of resonated with children.
That's right. Yeah, that's absolutely. We did. They would all be rearranged, of course, because Liz and Graham did them separately. But yeah, absolutely. We decided to make, we made that decision to try and use a lot of the children's action.
Yeah. What you were saying, Emma, about the Tweenies becoming these sort of top of the pops megastars.
You know, I can't quite believe. I mean, I remember. I think it was with Cole. I think it was Janet Jackson was on one of the top of the pops programs, and Colleen and I. We were told that she had to have a closed set. I think that means that nobody else can be there. Yeah. And Colleen and I hid. Do you remember, Cole? we hid to watch her do, I think it might have been called the Rhythm Nation. And we watched her rehearsals, and then a big burly security guard got rid of us. but we watched her, you know, and I remember Colleen saying to me, is that really her? You know, I mean, you know, we were in hiding watching.
Yeah.
Was on top of the pops. That was funny because obviously the skin actors were on stage in costumes, and we were sort of the freak show at the back on the tripods, and people were sort of looking around at us and going, what they're doing? We're sort of doing funny things. Those guys, those tripods had no idea that we were the voices,
right?
Characters,
yeah. Yeah, you sent me a lovely picture, Emma, of one of the Tweenie posters from Wembley, and I was thinking, I remember going to see that when I was so young.
Oh, I remember Colleen and I went to watch at the Royal Albert Hall. It could have been the Christmas show, I think. And you know, we obviously we'd been very kindly given our tickets, and I remember we were just sat there, the two of us, thinking, oh my God, we're at the Albert Hall, you know.
Yeah, yes, because people forget, because Ian, you said to me in our previous podcast that it was very quick paced, but people forget that even when the series ended, for many, many years after, not only was it repeated, but you were still doing live arena tours. Yeah,
we still did some live tours, and we did quite a number of live tours, actually. And it's funny, I remember, it just reminded me, because do you remember the one we did with the guitar? The stage was a guitar shape, and we did I can't remember the name of the show now, but it was the stage was
Fabaruni, something Fabaruni.
Yeah, I can't quite remember, but I put the song in, the Bowie song, you know, Starman. And I got a bit of flack for it. It says the preschool children are not going to want that song, and I got a lot of flack for that song, but they loved it. And I'll tell you something, my 2-year-old granddaughter has been listening to and we did things like Celebration, and kids like, I think, listening to lots of different kind of music.
I think they would have listened to anything the Tweenies sang at the time.
We did do quite a few cover versions, like sort of pop covers, and we sort of famously got hand-me-downs from the same songwriters as Steps and S Club 7 and you can hear it.
But it does have that feel when you listen to the songs. You can imagine Steps singing them, There
was a brilliant pastiche. I think Liz wrote that one, the ABBA one. Yeah. Knowing now how I know you. Knowing now how I know you,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I did Play That Funky Music, Milo.
Yeah, that's what I said to Ian, Play That Funky Music, Milo. Yeah, that's the first time I heard that song. Little did I know till later on that it was actually another song by someone else. But yeah, it's incredible. And one of the endearing things I'm going to come on to you, Emma, is that you showed me one of your most prized possessions that somebody made for you. And it was one of the characters, Penelope Pink, that was in the Enchanted Toy Shop.
Oh, this a lovely lady. I'm not too sure who she is, but she very kindly sent a model to my agent, and then my agent, and I just thought, somebody spent the time to do this, and it's the most beautiful. I'll get it.
Yeah, get it, because it is wonderful. It's so beautiful.
Sean, I'm going to have John, I'm going to have to bow out soon because I've got my rehearsals end at 8 o'clock, and I've really got to finish them. Really,
not a problem, Ian. Not a problem. It's been
Sorry.
wonderful to chat to you.
No, it's been lovely. It's been absolutely fantastic to see
Yes.
everybody.
Just
Really.
while Emma's getting little bits and pieces, just remind us where you are again this year and who you're playing.
I'm playing Dame Trot in Jack and the Beanstalk at the Belgrade Theatre, Coventry.
And you're playing until.
We play from the 23rd of November until the 7th of January.
There we go. And everybody is welcome to join in, as well as Bob and Colleen too, if you want to triple Jack and the Beanstalk.
Let's have a look at the.
Can you see? Isn't she beautiful?
Oh wow!
Just
Amazing.
wonderful.
Oh,
I
wow.
love her.
I remember that.
Just wonderful.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you
thanks
so
very
much.
much for joining us, Ian.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Ian.
Bye. Bye.
Love to Eileen.
There we go. And there's Ian. Right. Okie dokie. Show us that again, Emma. That's beautiful.
Isn't she lovely?
Yes, Colleen, you played all the characters that you played in the Enchanted Toy Shop.
Oh, hang on a minute. I think I was just Fizz in the Enchanted Toy Shop because Emma, you played Penelope
Pink.
Yeah.
Weren't you a mouse theatre, Cole? Weren't you the? Didn't we go into a mouse theatre and you were the head mouse?
Oh yeah, Cole. You and I were like Thespy mice. We were,
Yes, that's it. Oh, we were sort of like Miriam Margoyle.
Yeah.
Ian McKellen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob, do you have a particular memory, a favourite memory of actually working on the Tweenies?
Oh, so many. I mean, because it grew and grew and grew.
Yeah.
I mean, the first year that we did it, I think we were so absorbed in the technical side of learning the process of doing it. And then the second year, we started going further afield with the locations. We went to Tenerife and Jersey, of all places, and we were up in the length and breadth of the country. We were all over the place. Up in Scotland, we were in the Isle of Mull, and it was just the whole process. As Emma said earlier, you just feel incredibly honoured to be on a job. As an actor, it's so rare that you get a job that lasts more than a few weeks, let alone years.
And a lot
we
of
were.
those location jobs were with Max, who you also played as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Max was always on the location. There was always, I think, because of the scale issue that we had in the first series with the puppets, Ian and Will decided that it probably worked better if just the adult characters went on location. So it was either Judy or Max. And funny enough, when we did go on location, it was the same skin actor in both the costumes. It was either Sinead originally doing both, or which then evolved to Matt Lyons, who ended up doing all the location stuff. And of course, back in the studio, both the characters were played physically by Simon Grover, because he was very tall. He was like 6'5" or something, 6'6". Yeah. So it all worked with the scaling much better. But I mean, the memories. They need jogging, because you have to pinch ourselves to realise it's 23 years ago, or whatever it is now, which is crazy when it first broadcast. But I tell you, I do have one moment that I got the sort of tingles, was the very first airing of it, and we were all in the bar at Elstree Studios watching it, and we followed Teletubbies, and I remember them going, "Time for Tubby bye-bye," and going, "Good night, everyone," and this little gentle music, and then suddenly this massive purple-headed character going, "Come and play!"
80 territories it was broadcast around the world.
Yeah, that's amazing. I don't think we hit America though, did we?
I think you did, but they redubbed the voices.
They did,
yeah. Anyhow, Emma, talk to me about the memories that you have on the show.
Hiding behind scenery to watch Janet Jackson with Colleen. Shopping down Portobello Road. I think some of the memory that stands out is we went to switch the Christmas lights on. But I want to say it was in Manchester, but it could have been Birmingham. Colleen, was it Birmingham? Bobby, was it Birmingham?
Yes, I remember switching them on, but I can't remember which city now.
Yeah, it was Birmingham. It was
Birmingham?
Like Tweenie Mania, wasn't it? Tweenie Mania.
Yeah, and I think that was just incredible, because people were trying to see them and that was amazing.
Wow. Well, Colleen, your memories of working on the show.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, there's so many. The recording all the episodes. I love the music calls. I loved finding out what the original songs were.
Right.
We all got, it was all very much shared around, different solo songs. It was our moment. I remember doing I Wish, and it had a sort of real bluesy feel. I wish things were different. I remember doing that one. The live shows were great. That was always really fun. And we'd have a bit of a laugh because we'd have to do all the cities, but we had to do it, hello! Then we'd have to wait for the pause and then.
Yeah.
He said, hello! And then we had to do the same for another 30 cities, and it was fun, tiring, but also we had a laugh about it. Thought, wow, can you believe what we're doing? Because the Tweenies were playing these huge arenas.
Yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to all of you today. It really has. Let's get on with this quick quiz. We come up with the idea, me and Colin thought it'd be a nice idea to do the Tweenie voices. So obviously, Emma's Bella, Bob, you can choose either Max or Milo, and of course Colin can choose Fizz or Fizzle. So it's entirely up to you. So okay, right. So if you have an answer, then please just buzz in your Tweenie character. Okay, they're going to start off rather easy and then they get a little complicated. I have done this quiz myself, so I'll see how we get along with this. Okay, and I will tally up all the points as well. Okay, are you ready, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Here is the first question. Okay, remember to buzz in with your character's voice if you want to give an answer. Okay, the first question should be pretty simple for you all. What year did the Tweenies first air on the BBC?
I'm Milo.
Yes, Bob.
So I've got to answer as Milo too. It was 1999, September.
Well done. Very good. Bob, Milo, very good. That is a point to you. Here's the second question. Who is the youngest out of all of the Tweenies? Yes, Fizz, Colleen. Okay, Colin, you're just going to have to talk as your normal voice. Because Fizz, it's like...
If I'm lower, does that help?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Max. It's Max.
Yes.
Or Bella.
I'll give you that. I said the Tweenies, but not the adults. But I'll give you Max. Max is the oldest out of all of the people, the Tweenies. But I will give you that. Right. Question number 3. What does? Okay. One for you, Colin. You might get this one. What does Fizz want to be when she grows up?
A ballerina.
Okay, well done. I'll give you that because buzzing in is going to be tricky for you. Okay, so I will give you that.
I'm Fizz.
There we go. There we go. Right. Okay, question number 4. What colour does Milo think is Yuckaroony?
I'm Max.
Oh, yes, Bob.
Is it brown?
No. The answer, I think you'll find, was in a particular episode, which was pink. Because pink is Yuckaroony.
Of course it is.
Now
Of course
it's
it
coming
is.
back to you. Yeah, of course.
I thought he trod in one of Doodles, and I thought he didn't like brownness.
Well, that was well. I'm surprised you didn't get that because all day long, Bella, Fizz, and Jake were getting Milo to wear everything pink, including tutus and scarves and feather boas. So I'm pretty surprised you didn't get that. That was a pretty
Shame on me. Shame on me.
episode. There we go. Question number 5. Whilst being helpful to Judy, what personal item of Jake's does Bella use to clean up with? Yes, Emma. Yes, I saw you miming there. That's it because you were Bella.
I don't know. I was saying I don't know to the other two.
Oh, right. Oh, I see. Okay. Anybody else want to buzz?
What used to happen, Sean, you see, when I needed help, they came to my rescue all the time.
Right, okay.
They got me out of
Does
situations.
anybody else have an answer to that question?
You have to repeat the question, please, Sean.
Yes. Whilst being helpful to Judy, what personal item of Jake's does Bella use to clean up with?
His
His scarf.
Oh, you're very close.
Ah.
It was Jake's Snuggly.
Oh.
And Bella had used it to clean up, and Jake was very upset. But then Judy put it in the washing machine, and Jake snugly shrunk.
He was always so moody, wasn't he, Jake? Just so sensitive.
Yes. Yes. Okay, here we go on to the next question. We're racing through these. What did Jake sing about in the Top of the Pops special?
Bananas.
Oh, Colleen, yes, I got that. You said bananas. That is the correct answer. Well done, Colleen. Well done, well done, well done. Okay, on to the next question. Throughout its run, Bella cried a total of 3 times. Fizz cried a total of 7 times. And Jake, 14. Milo cried just the once. But what was the reason? Bob's thinking.
I know.
Oh, yes,
Do you
Colleen.
know?
Bob, let me give you a clue. Well, I think I might be wrong. Let me give you a clue.
You don't have to help it.
Castaway. The film Castaway.
I'm Milo.
Remember Cast Ball? The ball in Castaway, Milo, remember?
Go ahead, Bob.
In the film
Was it-
Castaway with Tom Hanks. Cold.
He lost his football.
Nope. No, the answer was Judy threw his paper aeroplane in the rubbish.
Oh.
And why he got upset is because it's Grandad's that helped him make it.
Milo, what a tantrum! What a drama!
So yeah, there we go. That was an interesting one. So nobody got that. Right, okay.
Tom Wilson.
Yeah, but it was 23 years ago, Sean.
I know it was. Yeah, exactly. Right, here we go. Question number 8. What was the name of the Dream Genie featured in the specials Nighttime Magic and Jungle Adventure? This should be interesting because you didn't know these.
I'm Milo.
Yes.
It was Eddie, the Dream Genie.
Yes, well done. Eddie the Dream Genie, of course. Am I right in thinking voiced by Justin?
You are right in thinking that, yes.
Well done. Right, okay, question number 9. What was the name of the 5th character eventually dropped when the series began? Ian mentioned this earlier.
I'm Max.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
That was Sid, and he works in a fish and chip shop in Rotherham now.
Well done. Well done. Okay, the last few questions coming up. Question number 10. In the episode Imaginary Pet, Fizz threw a wobbly after wishing she could own what animal?
Hi, Bella.
Yes.
Was it a lizard?
No, it wasn't. The correct answer is quite obvious. It was every girl's dream. A pony.
I'm Milo.
Oh, I've said it now.
What was it?
Go
A
on,
horse?
Milo.
Pony.
A horse.
Pony.
It was a
Yeah.
pony, yes. She wished she could have a pony and she imagined that she had one. It's really funny whenever Fizz would cry because she would scream the house down with her tears. She would just literally go into complete meltdown. Yes. Sorry to disappoint.
It's not the decibel. She's off the decibel.
Brilliant. Right, question number 11. Circle Time was the US equivalent to which Tweenie clock segment?
Milo.
Go ahead.
This is a guess. Was it Song Time?
No, it wasn't.
I'm wrong.
You're wrong, indeed. Anyone else want to have a guess? You've got a few options there.
News time.
Well done, Bella. Well done.
Only one I
indeed.
could remember.
Well, well done indeed. Why they called it that, I don't know. And another interesting fact, video time was also a segment that was used. Okay, and that was in replace of course, Teletime. Okay, we've got 2 more questions to go. In 2002, the Tweenies had a hit with the song Have Fun, Go Mad. But who was the song originally by?
I'm Milo.
Yes, Milo.
It was Blair.
Well done. I'll accept Blair or Blair McCain. I'll accept that. Well done. Milo, you are on a
Sean, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you know what film that song was in originally?
Oh, I haven't got a clue.
I think it was in Sliding Doors.
Ah, your wealth of knowledge, Milo. There we go. A wealth of knowledge indeed. I did not know that, and I've learned something.
Thanks, mate. It's Fabaruni.
It certainly is Fabaruni, mate. Right, the 13th question and the last question. It is not necessarily Tweenies related, so get your thinking caps on. The Tweenies regularly appeared on Top of the Pops, but which female artist was the first person on the show when it launched in 1964?
Person.
Yeah, the first artist to appear, the first female artist to appear on Top of the Pops in 1964.
I match.
Yes,
Was it my ex-wife, Petula Clark?
it was Petula Clark. Well done.
Oh, well
And
done.
you want to tell us what the song was, Bob?
Was it Downtown? Was it
It was
Downtown?
Downtown. Well done, Bob. Well done. And Milo is, of course, the winner. Well done. And I expect Milo to get that very last question.
Thank you. I'd like to say thank you to my mum and my dad, to my skin Chris Beck, and to Max.
Oh, thank you, Milo. It's very kind of you. I did nothing.
Yeah, I know.
That's exactly it.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to all of you today. It really has been a dream, and I know that everybody's going to love hearing what you're up to now. Bob, just remind us where you are in Panto at the moment.
Royal and Derngate in Northampton from the 9th of December to the 2nd of January.
Hooray! And Colleen, remind us where you're at.
Mexican Theatre in Reading from some point very early in December until January the 2nd.
So you're all welcome to join them. And one of the fascinating things that you were telling me, Em, was that you're now a drama teacher.
Yeah.
Wow, how incredible is that? I mean, I can't imagine just turning up, as an adult now, thinking Emma Weaver, who played Bella, is my drama teacher.
Well, you'd think it would bring in more students, Sean.
I was thinking, yeah.
It's because she's always been bossy.
What's that like, Emma, now teaching? Because you've said throughout the podcast that that you learnt so much from these guys. You're now giving back to people all the stuff you've learned.
Yeah, I think my favourite class of the week is tomorrow morning at a school, and they're all in the nursery, and we play Tweenie songs, and their favourite song is Gonna Build a House, and I have been doing that with them for the last, we do it every single week, and we do the actions and everything, and it's
incredible.
Lovely.
You love that song. That was our go-to song.
That really was.
That is nowhere near self-indulgent at all. I love that. It's like I'm just going to play a song that I sang all those years ago.
I've never told them, but yeah.
I've never told that. Can you imagine them growing up now and thinking, you actually sang? Yes, but I didn't tell you.
That's why they need to bring it back, Sean.
That's
bring
what
back Tweenies.
And I don't know whether Bob and Colleen will agree with this, but you were saying, because I know Ian, we didn't get a chance to actually speak to him, but if you check out the podcast they did, he's very against sort of bringing it back in animation form. But Emma, you'd love to see it in animation.
I'd love to see it in any form, Sean. I really would.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I can understand why Ian feels that way, because intrinsically it was a program conceived for live action interaction with the kids rather than an animation. I know where he's coming from, but I think as the kids that watched it are now having kids now in their 20s. So if it did come back, it'd be wonderful. But whether it will or not is what I doubt it. But we'll
maybe
see.
By just cancelling out a few episodes, they can put it all the way back onto iPlayer for kids to enjoy again.
More importantly, we can still do it. We can still do the voices, and we can still sing as well.
Yeah. If it's coming back,
So
you've got to have
be the originals, hasn't it?
Absolutely, you've got to have the original.
We'd never get Justin. He's too busy.
I'm going to nominate now Emma to tell our listeners as Bella why they should watch this and all the podcasts on this channel.
Listen and watch our podcast because it's really, really good, and we're all here, and we've had a lovely time doing it. So thank you to Sean.
Thank you so much, mate.
Well, very welcome. Thank you to Colleen, to Emma, to Bob, and of course to Ian. Colleen and Bob, best of luck in Panto. Emma, best of luck with all of your ventures and giving back to people with your classes. That is the best thing that you can do out of anything. It's really rewarding to hear that. And I will see everybody in the next podcast. Today, the cast of the Tweenies and its creator have been my guest, and you have been Fabaruni.
Bye.